Hey YouTube, welcome back to Axis and Allies the Garrison. This is another episode of the YouTube Wars, episode 1.7. We're finally here. We're at the very end of round one. It is France's turn, and then shortly afterwards, we'll segue into France's turn. Anzac is under the command of G.I. Joe. We'll segue into the very last component of this round with France that is under the command of VK Cowboy. The Axis have been very powerful, very aggressive. Needless to say, the Axis, my allies, were looking very good, very strong. However, it's still early on in this war. Round two is yet to come, and we shall see how the allies respond to the continued, very strong, very aggressive Axis powers. But until then, we're going to have to wrap up round one with France and Anzac. Enjoy this episode, guys. Anzac's turn. Anzac starts the game or round one with 10 IPCs. Anzac will be building only one naval transport, which means then that Anzac will be carrying over 3 IPCs for round two. So Anzac is not a war. No attacks are being declared by G.I. Joe. So that means then that Anzac will go ahead with a series of non-combat movements. Let's go ahead and do so right now. Okay, so the naval transport in Sea Zone 162 will sail into Sea Zone 54 at a movement of 1. We'll pick up 2 Anzac infantry divisions, sail west at 55, and then into Sea Zone 42, and we'll annex Java. All right, so that's an additional an additional 4 IPCs that the Anzacs will be collecting at their end of their round, or their turn for that matter. All right, so let's continue. The Anzac squadron in Queensland, all right, will also deploy, and we'll go at a movement of 4. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, that fighter obviously is coming from an air base in Queensland. All right, so that's why it can move 5 spaces. All right, the Anzac cruiser in Sea Zone 62 will move north into 54. I'm sorry, that's a destroyer, not a cruiser. Okay, and the cruiser, now I'm correct, in Sea Zone 63 will move west into Sea Zone 54 and will link up with the destroyer now off the coast of Queensland in Sea Zone 54. Okay, the 2 fighter squadrons in New Zealand. Okay, this is the land of X-ray, triple ray X-ray. Will deploy and fly northwest into 1, 2, and 3 and land in Queensland. All right, so those 2 fighters have been redeployed and are now in Queensland. And I believe that's it for all the movements, the non-combat movements for the Anzacs. All right, so what else? Okay, we're going to go straight into then the placement of newly purchased or built units. We have the naval transport. The Anzac transport will be placed in Sea Zone number 62. All right, so that's about it. So let's go into the collect income phase. And the Anzac started out their first turn with 10 IPCs. All right, which means then that they just annexed Java, brings them up to 4. That's 14. They carried over 3. Okay, from this turn. So now the Anzacs will have 17 IPCs total in their treasury for round 2. Keep in mind, folks, the Anzacs are still out of the war. They're still technically neutral. All right, so let's go ahead with VK Cowboy's turn, and he is in command of the French forces that have not yet been taken out by the Axis. So the French cruiser in Sea Zone 110 will make steam and will head west and link up with the British fleet in Sea Zone 109. And there it is. Okay, the French infantry division in French West Africa will head east and move one space into French Central Africa. All right, and the French infantry division in Syria will move south into Transjordan. Okay, movement of 1. Okay, and last but not least, the French destroyer in Sea Zone 72 will surprisingly head into the Atlantic at a movement of 2, 71 and 70. So the French cruiser, interestingly, is in Sea Zone 70. What is Cowboy up to? I would figure that Cowboy would want to link up that French cruiser with the British. Maybe head north into the Red Sea in Sea Zone 81, or potentially, maybe eventually link up with the British in somewhere, either Sea Zone 39 or 79. But that's a very surprising move. I'm taken aback by that. So let's see what he has up his sleeve. Cowboy is definitely a very aggressive player, and he usually has a plan. There's something behind his madness, as they like to say. All right, guys, that's about it for this round. Okay, it is the end of round 1. We're about to start round 2. It is Germany's turn. Needless to say, round 1 was a very, very interesting round. A very positive, aggressive round for the Axis powers, and particularly here in Europe, on the European theater of war, where the Axis had a great start with the Germans taking out the British Air Force early round 1 in Germany's turn. Also, the majority of a good portion of the British Navy was also sunk. The Italians have coalesced in the Mediterranean, securing the Mediterranean, and also securing 2 national objectives, which meant then that the Italians could collect 24 IPCs at the end of their turn, which is an amazing feat. It's a lot of money early on for the Italians, and the Italians are definitely looking very aggressive. Also in the Pacific, with the Axis partner of Imperial Japan, you have a very aggressive Japan, at least I think an aggressive Japan, where Japan is also poised to make further inroads into China, potentially Southeast Asia, maybe somewhere in the Money Islands, Philippines, and needless to say, Calcutta. So definitely the Axis had a great first round, but you know what? The Allies, they're also very competent. All 3 of those guys on that side of the terrain here are very capable players. All right, guys, we hope that, before we do so, we're going to make this official, and we're now officially putting the round marker up to round 2. So officially, we are now up to round 2. It is the beginning of round 2. It is Germany's turn. Guys, thanks for watching. As always, as I like to say, don't forget to bunker down and play. But before I do so, please hit that like button. I really would appreciate if you were to do that. If you're not yet subscribed to the channel, please go ahead, subscribe. And also, if you know of other individuals or people that like this game, that have an interest in Axis and Allies, please don't be afraid to share this video. Let guys know that we're around. Let guys know that that they're not alone, okay? And that there are guys out there who have a passion for this game, who are willing to share the game with others. All right, guys, enjoy. And as always, let me know what you think.